Hey, everybody. Welcome to the live stream for studentloanjustice.org. It is, believe it or not, it is Wednesday, 2/2/22. How about that? It won't be like this again for another 11 years on 3/3/33. It hasn't been like this for 11 years on January 11th, 2011. Anyways, I thought that was kind of cool. Hope everybody is doing well out there. Our opposition is freaked out right now. They have upped their game tremendously against us. And they're starting to look a little ridiculous, quite frankly. So let's go through it. Three things today. The first one I was hoping was going to be good news. The Wall Street Journal interviewed a bunch of our members, Melanie, Ryan, I think maybe others. They wound up publishing a piece today which, but for the good quote from Ryan and some good words from Melanie, it was a hit piece against us. And this is what the Wall Street Journal does. This is what they've pretty much always done. Shame on the Wall Street Journal. I don't want to even get into it too much. It was the original article did not even mention bankruptcy. And I talked to Ryan before this thing even went to print. And he made a strong point to mention bankruptcy in the interview, and they completely left that out in the article. Well, thankfully, I bitched. I think Ryan bitched also, and maybe some other people bitched. And lo and behold, they did a quick lightning instant update and at least included some words about bankruptcy in Ryan's quote in the article. So good on us, but it was not a borrower-friendly article, let me just say. The Wall Street Journal is tied at the hip to the lending beast. They're essentially mouthpiece media for the lending system at this point. I hope that changes, because the more they continue to parrot the call of the student loan swamp, the less relevant they become, the more divorced from reality they become. And that's not good, because the Wall Street Journal is supposed to be the newspaper for investors and stuff like that. And those people need good, accurate information upon which they can base their decisions. And with the Wall Street Journal putting out this propaganda from the lending swamp, and that includes both Washington, D.C. and Wall Street, less Wall Street, more Washington, D.C. lately, since 2010, the less relevant they become to reality, and the worse the quality of the information is that they pass on to their readers, who I assume are like investors and stuff. So the Wall Street Journal needs to take a couple steps back away from the swamp and take a hard look at the reality of this lending system. You know, they even cast aspersion on the claim that the president can cancel loans by executive order, when that's frankly a settled matter. It was controversial for maybe a year after when we first made news about canceling student loans by executive order in Vice News in August 2019. There was some controversy about whether indeed the president actually had the power to cancel loans by executive order. But the law on this is very clear, and it's not just me that's saying this. The scholars from Yale and Harvard have looked at the law very closely and come to the exact same conclusion that, yes, indeed, the president, the secretary does have the power to cancel student loans by executive order. And indeed, President Biden and Donald Trump have both exercised this power by suspending the repayment plans, essentially canceling interest for borrowers under this pandemic pause. And so I don't know any very serious people that are really arguing anymore that the president doesn't have this power. Some of the minions for the student loan swamp, like, and I hate to say this, Mark Kantrowitz, some of the other snakes at Forbes magazine are still trying to make this argument, but they don't have a leg to stand on. So it was good. I was glad that Ryan and Melanie were able to get at least have a little bit of their voice heard today. And you know, I congratulate them, and more than that, I applaud them for their courage in stepping up and putting themselves out there and having their voices be heard. I mean, that takes a little bit of guts, and so I applaud them for that. Hopefully, the Wall Street Journal will start realizing what I think many people in Washington, D.C. and Wall Street are realizing now, and that is that this lending system is toast. And really, you don't want to be stuck to this tar baby when it goes down. I think people are distancing themselves from the lending apparatus as we speak. People who were very trusted experts, quote unquote, on this topic for years, like Jason Delisle and Beth Akers, they are looking less and less credible and more ridiculous as time goes on. And hey, if you want to die on that hill, Wall Street Journal, go to it. You plant your flag in that ground, and we'll see what kind of clowns you look like in 6 months when you're telling the people, 90% of whom quit paying on their loans, that this lending system is still viable. Yeah, let's see how that goes. Go ahead, die on that hill. I dare you. But the worst news today, guys, has to do with a woman called Virginia Foxx, a longtime North Carolina House member. Virginia Foxx is pound for pound. Virginia Foxx is the worst sitting member of Congress on the student loan issue. She is a pit viper. She fights very hard for this lending system. She fights very hard against the people for the lending system, and by extension, for the colleges who benefit from this student loan scam. She's done it for years, and she's doing it here again today. The people at Forbes magazine were mouthpiece enough to gladly parrot another piece from Virginia Foxx today, calling not only for the resumption of the repayment of the student loan program, the ending of the payment pause on May 1st, but also the strong opinion of Virginia Foxx that student loan cancellation is a terrible idea. Virginia Foxx's words, not mine. Well, I've got news for Virginia Foxx. Student loans were a terrible idea. This lending system is toast by all rational metrics. Even before the pandemic, 64.3% of all borrowers were not paying on their loans. And even if you don't count the kids who were in school deferment, that's still half of everyone was not paying on their loans before the pandemic. The default rate for 2004 students is 40%, probably higher than 40% now that COVID happened. But the class of 2004 was only borrowing a third of what people are borrowing today. People over 50 outnumber people under 25 with student loans, and they owe 3 times as more. So if you look at the student loan balance versus age, it doesn't go down as any rational thinker would expect, right? You go to college in your 20s, you graduate, you pay it off in your 30s, most people are done in their 40s. Very few people should have student loans by the time they're in their 50s. That's the way the curve should go. Or let's see, from your perspective, the curve should go this way. The curve is going this way. So the average balance of 50-year-olds is like $42,000. And quite frankly, I think it's a lot higher than that. I think there's a lot that's not being baked into that number, but that is triple the average balance of people under 25 years old. And there are more of them, more people over the age of 50 than under the age of 25. And same thing with the over 35 versus the under 35 crowd. I could go on and on here, folks, but this lending system is toast, and the pandemic is the nail in the coffin. And Virginia Foxx had better get that through her head, because the people of North Carolina, I don't know what they are. I don't know what's going on with people of North Carolina, why they haven't rode her out of office on a rail, and that includes the Republicans. The people of North Carolina are being wrecked by student loan debt. I don't know the exact numbers, but there is enough student loan debt in North Carolina to buy every farm in the state and still have $20 billion left over. Student loan debt in North Carolina exceeds the entire state budget by a lot. And I can maybe find that number, but it's huge. North Carolina is one of the worst states in the country. And over half of those student loan borrowers, they're not liberal, elitist snowflakes. My best estimate is that either somewhere around 60, maybe 65% of those student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent. So the good people, both Democrat and Republican, more Republican than Democrat, good people in North Carolina need to rise up and throw this dangerous woman out of office. She is not serving the people of North Carolina. She is serving the worst big government monstrosity ever to visit this country. And she is serving the colleges, who most conservatives say they don't like, right? Liberal elitist colleges. Virginia Foxx has sold out the people of North Carolina to the government and to the colleges, to the federal government and to the colleges. And there's nothing MAGA about that. There's nothing conservative about that. So, hey, if you have any questions or comments, throw them out. If I can see them on Facebook or on Twitter for that matter, I will gladly respond to them. And if you're watching us on YouTube or any of our other platforms, sorry about that. I can't see your comments. So there's only so many different platforms that I can handle at one time. So yeah, something really not right is going on in North Carolina, ladies and gentlemen. If you live in North Carolina, if you know anybody in North Carolina, if you happen to have any inside information about funny games going on with primarily Republican members of Congress in North Carolina and the student loan industry, maybe the colleges, maybe the industry, maybe some other weird little thing that I'm just not aware of, I would like to know about that. And the people deserve to know about that. So if you have any inside information, we love whistleblowers. We'll bend over backwards to protect your anonymity. But, it's not just Virginia Foxx. It's Ted Budd. It's Richard Burr. It's Madison Cawthorn, that little young freshman senator, congressman guy. Caustic. Did I say Ted Budd? North Carolina is popping up not just on my red flag radar warning screen, but many people's. There's something really not right about the state of North Carolina and their congressional delegation. I don't know about Thom Tillis. I would hope that there's got to be at least a few good Republicans in that state. But let us know if you hear of anything, or maybe do some deep digging yourself. We are a truly grassroots citizen group, and we don't have a team of researchers that we can depend on. We don't have anything but people like you and me, who I assume went to college by and large. So hopefully we're a little bit smarter than the average bear, maybe not, but we need regular people to be helping us, because this is your battle. This is your fight. And our opposition is upping their stuff right now. Like just in the past 3 days, they've really cranked it up to 11, and it will go higher. Make no mistake, it will go higher between now and May 1st. So you need to get your back into this fight. And if you look up and down on our Facebook group or our Twitter feed, you will see you need to jump into this water and start fighting with us. The water is fine. We got this, but we need your help. So there was another good article that came out today. It was a place called something I haven't seen before, like the News Post or something. Let me see. It was a good article. It talked about how the Biden administration, and more importantly, the Department of Education, continues to oppose student loan borrowers in bankruptcy court, despite Joe Biden supposedly endorsing Elizabeth Warren's bankruptcy plan before the election. And so it shined a light on that. I think it's very important that student loan borrowers out there know just how much of a backstabbing son of a bitch Joe Biden is. Man, I don't like to swear like that. Pardon my French, but Joe Biden is just one mean hombre. He's a bad dude on this issue. And it's not even a stab in our back at this point with Biden. It is an ice pick between our eyes. We can't even say that about people like Donald Trump. Donald Trump never said he was going to cancel loans. Donald Trump never said that he was going to return bankruptcy for student loans. Joe Biden did, and he can right now, and he won't. And he blatantly won't. Like I said, chutzpah, but I don't think that's the right word. It's a far more sinister term than chutzpah. It's like he's just brazenly hitting us between the eyeballs with an ice pick. Like, yeah, I know I said that. Fuck you. I'm not doing it. That's basically what Joe Biden is saying to us right now. Pardon my French, but it's true. So it was a good article. The best thing about this article, if I can ever find it, okay, there it is. Is at a place called thedailyposter.com. And in fact, I will post it in the comments on our Twitter feed, just so you can see it. I don't know the reporter, Julia Rock, Andrew Perez, Walker Bregman, but it's a pretty good piece. They mentioned how not only Biden is backsliding, but the most important thing about this article at thedailyposter.com is the fact that they mention our legislation, our bipartisan bankruptcy legislation in the Senate, S-2598. Very important, ladies and gentlemen. The most important policy thing that I'm going to tell you tonight is look at Biden. He's not going to cancel loans unless he's pushed. He's not even going to return bankruptcy unless he's pushed. If we get this bill passed, Joe Biden will have to cancel loans. So let me put it to you in a stronger way. We are not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation from Joe Biden or any president unless and until we get the threat of bankruptcy returned to us. So we will only get meaningful student loan cancellation when we get the threat of bankruptcy back. As long as bankruptcy's gone, we're going to get this up to $50,000, pardon my French, bullshit for the third time tonight. Up to $50,000 could mean anything. We've been watching this bad movie for decades, ladies and gentlemen, since 2005. They would love to foist a fake loan cancellation gimmick on us that comes to almost nothing for almost everyone after means testing, after an application process, after all the other strings that they can attach. This up to $50,000 will be about $5,000 for you, about $4,000 for you, about $8,000 for you, nothing for you because you were in default or something. And oh, by the way, in the time that it takes them to do that, they added that much onto your loan in interest. That is the game that the swamp plays. And Biden loves the swamp, and he lives in the swamp. With the threat of bankruptcy returned, everything changes. The entire calculus, the whole playing field changes. Not that anybody is going to file. Nobody wants to file. Hopefully nobody will have to file. Having the threat back is what is absolutely critically important. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. It sucks. And it's not a very sexy thing to think about. It doesn't roll off the tongue. It's not going to get you any dates or whatever. But the founding fathers knew that bankruptcy was so important. They called for it in the Constitution ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army. So if you want your loans canceled, if maybe you just want a break on the interest, or maybe you're so far down the line, maybe you absolutely have to file for bankruptcy. Whatever your situation may be, you must help us fight to get S-2598 passed. So I was very glad to see that they mentioned it in the Daily Poster. They did not even mention it in the Wall Street Journal article, as I told you earlier. So yeah, guys, we got this. The water's fine. You need to jump in. You need to help us fight. And, one of the members on our group earlier today, he was like, it just seems like the whole universe is against us. And, we don't have a new world to flee to like the people that were being oppressed in England had. We don't have that. We're just, the whole universe is against us. And I'm like, wait a minute. No. The whole universe is not against us. A small clutch of lawyers, bureaucrats, politicians, and bankers are against us. We own the lending system. It's like 10,000 to 1, like 45 million people versus like a few thousand. So that's not the universe. That's a small gamut of scoundrels that are fucking us around, and that we, up to this point, have been too intimidated to step up to this point. Now, so get that thought out of your head. And yeah, okay, there's no new world. That's true. I suppose we go across the Pacific and go to like Hawaii or Guam or something, or who knows, Vietnam. But yeah, no, that's been done. There is no new world. There is this world. So we need to stand and fight where we stand. You know, you can't run forever. You can't live the rest of your life. Well, you can. You shouldn't want to live the rest of your life with your tail in between your legs, being run around and made to feel ridiculous like a second-class citizen on account of your student effing loans. They were never supposed to be this important. They are not that important. That $1.8 trillion is nonsense. It's fake. It doesn't even exist. It's fiat. We don't have to put up with this bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. This is a failed lending system, failed worse than subprime home mortgages, failed worse than the SNL scandal, failed worse than pretty much any loans I can even think of in the history of this country. So we got this, but you need to fight this fight with us, because we will be fucked around for another couple of years if you sit there and let the Forbes magazines and the Wall Street journals of the world inform your worldview. Don't let yourself be hypnotized, manipulated, demotivated, de-energized, discouraged by these snakes. Life is short. Let's live it, and let's throw this stupid fucking lending system off of our back. Because remember, 64% of everybody was not even paying before the pandemic. Almost nobody is paying today. When and if they turn that lending system back on, and I hope they do. I hope they do turn it back on May 1st. I really do. Because the quicker they turn it on, the quicker it will fall. When and if they turn it on, my best guess is that less than 20% of people will resume paying their loans. This lending system is done. It's toast. It's finished. Put a fork in it. Grow a pair. And fight not only for yourself, but fight for the 45 million people who don't know about us. You know, this group right here is where loan cancellation by executive order started. This group right here is the reason that we have meaningful bankruptcy legislation that everything hinges on to fight for. So if you forget everything I say tonight, remember this. We need you fighting with us. These are your loans. This is your fight. We are not only the tip of the spear, we are the whole fucking spear in many ways. We're not just the eye of the storm, we're the whole storm. So the thing that you can do that would help tremendously is to go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and do the past month, if not 2 months, worth of our daily actions. It's Twitter stuff. You can do a day of actions, usually in like 30 seconds or less. Get into it. Do the past 2 months worth. It will help tremendously. We have a huge muscle to flex. We've got over 1 million people on our petition now. We've got another couple 100,000 people across all of our other platforms. We've got a huge muscle to flex, but that is meaningless, unless you sitting there help us flex it. StudentLoanJustice.org, daily actions. And follow us on Twitter too, if you see there. That is also very helpful. It's only going to get harder from here on out, guys. Our opposition is weak. Their argument is weak, but they are, they've got money. They've got smart people. They've got some pretty ambitious, hardworking, well-resourced individuals that are fighting for them. Why? I don't know. And by the way, if you are in the opposition, you need to abandon this ship. Your life's work defines you. And you are fighting on the wrong side of history, the wrong side of the Constitution, the wrong side of the people, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. No amount of money is worth what you are doing to yourself. This is your legacy that you are building right now. I strongly suggest that you turn around and walk away, because this is a winner for us and a loser for you, and you ought to be ashamed to be doing this for money. So we got this, guys. Go to our website, do all that stuff I said. I don't think I can see the comments tonight, guys. I apologize for that. I can't always see the comments. Sometimes I can. It looks like tonight I cannot. But I will respond to the comments when I see them, whenever that may happen. Oh, actually, okay, here we go. We do have a few. Doug Grosserson says, it will be a challenge to motivate student loan borrowers to pay off their debt after a 2-year pause. Right, exactly, Doug. People have had 2 years to reflect on things. 80% of all borrowers were never going to be able to repay their loans before the pandemic. People have had time to reflect, put things in perspective, and most people probably came to the very same conclusion that 65% had already come to, and that is, fuck this. I'm not paying these loans back anymore. No, this thing is a racket. It's a scam. Student loans became one large national joke during this pandemic. The pandemic is the nail in the coffin. And in my humble opinion, it is not only unwise, it is also unpatriotic to ever feed money into this beast again. This beast should be killed, not fed. Remember that. I know everybody's going to make their own decisions, but you just remember that. So Sylvia says the pause was started by a Republican and is attempted to be ended by a Democrat. Yeah, you know, we're a fiercely nonpartisan group, Sylvia. I know a lot of people like to demonize the Republicans. And historically, the Republicans have tended to be opposed to us. People like Virginia Fox, North Carolina, others. But, you know, I don't buy into all that stuff. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group. If you're a Republican, we're glad you're here. If you're a Democrat, we're glad you're here. If you're a liberal, if you're an anarchist, if you're a libertarian, we are very glad that you're here. This problem transcends stupid partisan politics. But yeah, you're right. You know, you know, the biggest mistake Donald Trump made of his presidency was not wiping out this lending system during the pandemic when he had the chance to do so. It would have been the best thing for the country. He could have ended the lending system. He could have maybe defunded the colleges, or at least put them on a major diet. He could have recreated higher education funding in this country with a system that is fair. And he chose not to do that. And I know I can kind of see why he didn't, but hey, it cost him the election. It cost him Georgia. It cost him Michigan. It cost him many states that really probably wouldn't have even been close but for the student loan issue. So Donald Trump screwed up, and Joe Biden screwed up horribly. I mean, if Donald Trump screwed up, Joe Biden pretty much swan diving into a bed of nails. And I don't get it. I don't speak for Biden. I don't even know if Biden speaks for Biden anymore. I don't know what's going on with that guy. But anyways, I can only hope that everything I said tonight has the ring of strong truth to it, because I don't talk outside of my neck, ladies and gentlemen. I've been doing this for many years, and I do it very seriously. And I'm telling you, it all starts with you. You have no idea how important you are. I would hope that you'd do a month worth of our daily actions. I would hope that you would join your state chapter group and help get it going, particularly if you live in southern states like North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, Missouri, Florida. Did I say Tennessee? A whole bunch of red states are being absolutely wrecked. All those states that I just mentioned, the people of those states owe more than those states' entire state budget in student loan debt. We need to be harassing the governors, the congressmen, the senators of all of those states, and all states. So join your state chapter. So that's 2 things I told you to do. Please do them. I don't like to bark orders, but this is getting very serious, ladies and gentlemen. This is getting to the point where it's either fight or flight. Don't run away. There's nowhere to run. So it's got to be fight. And let's do this to the lending system, shall we? So hang in there. And if I missed all your other comments, I'm sorry about that. Facebook has a weird way of updating their comments sometimes. But hang in there, guys. We got this. Oh, and maybe the last thing I'll say, You know, it would appear that we're rushing to war here in the Ukraine, or a lot of people would love to rush to war in the Ukraine. And I would just point out how quickly the Biden administration seems to want to do that. Like how quickly this country sent $7 trillion to wither away and die in the deserts of Afghanistan and Iraq. $7 trillion, when we can't even seem to be able to educate our citizens at a reasonable cost in a fair, even a baseline fair way. Come on, guys. Are we not a better country than that? Did we not win the Cold War? I think we did. What happened to that peace dividend? Anyways, I salute men and women. You know, we have so many veterans in this group who, believe it or not, have been hurt far worse than average by student loans. It's true. Veterans are hurt way worse than average people on student loans. I don't know why, but it's true. Well, I do know why. It's because these for-profit colleges target them. Other colleges target their GI Bill, which is never enough to go as far as they need it to go. So they wind up taking loans. And then particularly for active duty people, when they go off on deployment, their spouses have a way of getting behind with their payments, etc. Veterans are being screwed, and they should be on our side. So if you're a veteran, I salute you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've gone a little bit long tonight, but please, come on, guys. What are you gonna do this week to fight for yourself, to fight for the 45 million other people who don't know about this group? 44 million do know about us. And for the tens or hundreds of millions of people who maybe haven't even been born yet and are going to follow in our footsteps. What are you going to do? As corny as it may sound, the country actually needs you. So do the patriotic thing and help us fight. I'll be back on Friday. Ed will be back tomorrow. Good luck. Godspeed. And God bless everybody.